This is Housebound. I'm Chris,
I'm Holly.
I'm Ashlyn.
I'm Greg.
and you're invited.
Welcome to Housebound, a podcast we made because we needed company. In it, we talk about things that are on our minds, and today we are talking about brevity. Dun, dun, dun.
Define that.
Well, I was actually going to ask you guys, what comes to mind when you hear the word brevity?
Laughter.
Why?
Oh, there is a word similar to this that means...
That is what I thought this was about.
I would have.
Like a light mood. Does that make sense?
Okay.
What's this
Levity.
word? Levity, maybe?
Levity.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
gotta
Okay.
be
Levity
it.
means something like light and fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't take
Yeah.
itself too seriously.
We could do a podcast on levity at some point. I think that's not a bad idea.
We could.
This whole
especially-
podcast doesn't take itself too seriously.
That's true.
But then we could also have a podcast that's on like Christopher Nolan's Batman movies, which is like the opposite of levity.
Yes.
So, okay,
Gritty, dark, and grim.
correct.
That's crazy.
Well, I understand brevity to mean shortness of time
Shortness.
or conciseness.
Or shortness of breath,
Sure, can
which
be brevity.
I often have because I have asthma.
And
They
now you
laugh-
have to
and we
explain
all-
why we're laughing.
but it's true.
You
Mild-
don't have asthma anymore, Greg.
Greg
mild
ran out of
asthma.
breath once when he was 6 and just acid
Now
went
it's
off.
a yearly visit to the doctor.
It's a very important checkup. Lasts for hours.
His last one was a phone call. It lasted 3 minutes.
They were like, "Are you still breathing? Do you smoke?
Yeah.
Great.
You-
Done."
You dead, Sanka?
That's essentially what it was.
So then they understood brevity.
Yeah.
Yeah,
did.
that was a
There we go.
brev call.
That was a brief call.
Brev is
know
not
this
going to
word.
catch on. Stop trying to make Brev catch on, Holly.
There's a dude at my work named Brev.
Oh, interesting.
Oh,
I've
he's just on
not
the he's just on the call with Greg. Greg knows
Yeah, and
it.
he's not catching on. When I think of brevity, I generally think of like someone giving some sort of a presentation and just summing it up really quickly. It had brevity. Or a meeting with brevity. It's like
yeah.
a 15-minute check-in.
It's like
Okay.
painless,
Interesting.
really.
Oh no, it's sad.
Why is it sad?
Oh, there is nothing I love in life more than a good meeting.
Yeah, but
Oh,
you're
boy.
a freak.
The more meetings, the more happy I am at the end of the
To put
day.
it briefly,
You should have
Ashlyn,
gone
you're
into
a freak.
business. Yeah.
No, nothing
That's
brings
such
me
a
more joy than a
crazy-
good town hall.
Ugh.
To put it briefly, Ashlyn, fruit of the looms.
Brief.
Oh.
Ah.
Did you think about that one all week, knowing that we were coming up
It's
coming
okay,
up to
I'll
this
edit
topic?
it out of the episode.
So, okay. So, yeah. So we have brief in terms of
Short, summed up.
short meeting. What was yours?
Mine was essentially the same. It was
Conciseness.
Concise.
Mhm.
Concisement.
To the point.
Yeah. And
And a definition that wasn't for
that
this
wasn't
word.
laughter. Essentially, well, and for some it's painless. For other people, it's a tragedy, truly, if
Oh,
something is
truly.
brief. So
Episode of your favorite TV show, really short, leaves you wanting. Episode of a show
true.
that your partner really enjoys and you do not, that's not really short, like makes you long for it to be over. Like
You hope for the brevity.
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
thankful when
Yeah.
the credits roll.
yeah, so it completely depends.
Mhm.
I will
Completely
say that nowadays, if I am on Netflix and somebody's like, "Oh my goodness, you have to see this show. You're gonna love it," and then I look it up online and there's 34 episodes, not gonna do it. My
Well, you don't
ideal
even
range.
start it.
No, my
What?
ideal range is like, I love a good 6 to 8. Oh, give me the miniseries. I'm all about the
Oh.
miniseries. If it if it's on multiple seasons, it's got like 3 to 4 seasons at
or
this
6,
point.
like Lost.
At 3 to 4 plus seasons, I am not interested in even starting that business.
That's too bad.
I believe in brevity, except if it's a meeting.
What if it's Downton Abbey?
Downton Abbey I got into when there was
Exception.
less of them,
So-
and it did take some work.
Well, that means that the work that she has to do each month or year to catch up is not that much,
I see.
right? So
So staying kept up is better than having it all out and
Yeah.
just watching it.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
But there's definitely exceptions to the rule where I have still committed to the show, but I do love a good 6 to 8.
Do you like a television show better than a movie then?
Probably, but a movie that's not brief.
there's one movie though.
But it's like it's
But what
really
if it's a
it's
series?
a time commitment, and you
It
can't
is a
break
time
up
commitment.
movies into multiple viewings because you ruin the overall experience.
You can if it's the Zack Snyder cut.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Broke it up into multiple parts.
It was long.
You'd have to pay me a large sum of money to make it through that film.
Have you seen Ben-Hur?
Absolutely not.
Me either, and I won't watch it because it's too long.
Oh, I
It's
wouldn't
also
watch it
old,
because
and I
I'm
don't
a
know that you would
pacifist.
appreciate it.
'Cause
or
I'm a
enjoy it.
Oh, that's
But
not this
the
topic.
length doesn't really add to the flavor either.
Oh dear. Yes, that's fair.
So, Chris and Holly and Greg, what is your opinion on brief TV shows versus long-winded TV shows?
I, in the last number of years, I'm slowly getting used to like the mini-series style shows on the streaming services.
Mm-hmm.
But eight episodes, like that's too short for me to be happy or content with a season of something. And so I'd prefer something that had more, like even like 12 or 13 episodes would be like a little bit better. But I also grew up with the like 25-ish episode seasons, the
Or
TV
24
shows.
if you're watching the show 24.
No, that was a terrible show.
That was a great show. What are you talking about?
That was a terrible
They had-
show.
They put
You
themselves under
couldn't
such
even
time
do one
constraints.
of those activities in
writers.
24 hours, let alone all 24 activities that happen in each episode.
Well, like,
Greg feels like he needs to back up the show of 24 because he has financially invested in the
I
show.
own
Really?
a market share.
So like you purchased the series or at least a
Yeah.
season. I thought she
I've
was about to
purchased
say something about like they were kickstarting that new
Yeah, if you pause
legacy
it,
series.
Yeah,
or
45
whatever it's
seconds into
called.
the credits, you see his name.
Can never not support the show at that point. I am a forever supporter.
Oh no.
No,
Oh, dear.
I own all the seasons or whatever.
And you've seen all of them.
And I've seen all of them. I enjoyed it. It was
Oh.
good. There's like some fun like plot twists and stuff.
But it can't happen in one day. It can't.
Yeah.
Oh, kill me. No, it can't.
Just put it into the fantasy category and accept it.
Okay. But they don't think it's fantasy.
Didn't mean it as an insult. Apologies.
It is fantasy. It should be in the fantasy category.
But the fantasy genre deserves so much better.
Then 24.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. I still support it, but I also back that statement. Okay, but moving along, because we got to keep going. There's lots to talk about. So
There's lots to talk about very shortly.
yeah, and so one of the things that I thought of when we were kind of thinking about this episode was, so we got TV shows is one form. Then I was thinking, okay, what's like a shorter form would be like commercials. Commercials are like
Oh.
a shorter form, an even briefer form of like,
The ultimate brevity.
well,
You know what the worst kind of commercial is? Okay, so
What's the
commercials should be brief, but infomercials are so
Well,
long and
where
terrible.
they have like
Those are pretty
30-minute
bad.
time blocks on cable network.
Yes.
pretty,
And
they're
they just
pretty
end up
rough.
Why
repeating
would-
themselves over and over.
Constantly. Why would I want to watch a commercial for 30 minutes? I don't even want to watch a commercial for 30 seconds unless it's a really good Super Bowl commercial.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
those only happen at the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they're pretty rough around the edges.
Yeah.
I know that we have an antenna at home. that gets us 2 digital HD channels for free.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, so we can watch, the odd live thing that we're interested in, which isn't sports.
Shout out to Global and CTV.
Yeah, sorry, sports fans. It's more like the Oscars or something. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, when there was definitely like a Saturday or something that we had put it on, and then there was just like infomercial time, and it was like, wow. This is ridiculous. It's like, okay, how many times can you say, now, Jan, how big of a turkey can you put into that, machine? It's like, well, it's like,
we get it. It's 6 pounds.
Yeah.
That's not that big, actually.
The outer skin gets crispy. We get it. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
So, but no, infomercials are particularly painful, but there's some really good commercials out there. I don't know, when I was a kid I loved commercials. Honestly, it's a weird thing, like when you grow up overseas and then you come back here where there's like commercials, like so many commercials that interrupt your shows. As a little kid who grew up in places that like they didn't have huge malls, consumerism hadn't quite the
grip on society.
Didn't have quite as much of a grip on society when you can't really find jam in the stores. And so true fact.
Jam, the ultimate.
Actually, you could find jam, you couldn't find fruit.
Here in my garage, I've just built these 12 new bookshelves to hold the hundreds of jars of jam that I just acquired.
Wow, how prestigious you must be.
You must make $1 million.
It wasn't long ago that I was up here in the Hollywood Hills living out of my trailer with half as many jars of jam.
I remember I was scraping the last tablespoon out of my Schmuckers when this business opportunity came by.
So,
I was wondering,
anyways,
how am I going to feed my family or myself?
Not with jam, because you just get diabetes.
Well, anyways, so yeah, commercials just enchanted us. I don't know what it was exactly. I think it was just the fact that it's like, wow, this thing that we could get, so exciting. Swiffer, you're amazing. Or whatever.
Mr. Clean, your head's so bald.
Yeah.
The thing about commercials, though, I'll just interrupt for a second.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about commercials, though, is they are brief, yes, but they require they basically thrive off of repetition. So you buy a commercial spot and you show and show and show that commercial.
Right.
And so in that sense, they're not brief because they require the
they end up
imposing themselves in your short-term
Psyche.
memory in your
Right.
in order to like remind. So then when you see a commercial 10 years later, you can still sing the tune of the phone number for Empire Carpets or whatever.
Or you have a love of house hippos that will never go away.
Yeah, well, yeah, and so of course there's like we already talked about good and bad. Quality
United Furniture Warehouse.
Bum, bum.
There we go.
For real though.
But so they're kind of like both sides of this thought where they are brief, but they require repetition, and so then it's not brief. It's constantly you're being bombarded by it.
Yeah.
So that's, I don't know, something interesting.
Mm-hmm. But no, I definitely I think commercials also have the chance to be like quite funny. They can have that, there's some actually like really clever commercials. I think there's that's why like the Super Bowls, there's some, I think Doritos always has like some sort of a commercial that, I mean,
I feel like every year we go into it assuming a certain company is going to have really funny commercials, and they either have one spot or no spots, and another company has come and just like I don't remember when Tide was ever like a household Super Bowl anticipated commercial name, but then a couple of years ago they kind of like partnered up and took over like most of the blocks with their commercials.
They just got their name into everyone else's commercial,
blocks.
Which was so ridiculous.
Super genius. Like that's good marketing. But anyways, what that means for brevity, I don't know.
We are not. That's what that means.
But yeah, so commercials was one form, but then I thought even smaller. Let's go even smaller than that, and then that's where I was like, TikTok.
TikTok.
even more brief in
Mhm.
terms of
Yeah.
entertainment media
Yeah.
that's now sweep the scene. And we actually have in our
1
midst
minute.
a viral TikToker. We talked about this
Here,
last
Tim.
episode.
Oh, stop.
Live on the
stop.
scene.
yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Never stop.
Tell us about your fame and fortune. How many jars of jam are you at now?
I'm just trying to find.
How many followers you have?
Yeah, I'm trying to find. Well, okay. So as far as follower count goes, I have 1,500 followers. I think
That's pretty impressive, actually.
pretty
it's
good.
impressive for like the people that I know, but like
I don't even know if any of you guys follow me.
Yeah, we have
yeah.
to follow you
Is that what
in order
happens?
to send you things.
This episode, Greg figures out how TikTok works.
Yeah, essentially. I'm gonna be learning so
He's
much,
had it
guys.
for several months.
Yeah, I just look at the videos that you send me. I honestly don't
that's fair.
scroll too much.
But I did post a video and it got 50. Well, it's at now 53.8 thousand views.
Very impressive. Very impressive.
But in terms of what that means for Brevity, yeah, you're right. We as a society are consuming, like, we're so active and so busy and have quote unquote no time for anything that we consume these micro pieces of micro content, or whatever the internet marketing term for those short forms of content are. And I've even seen people who kind of have done micro content long before it was really even a thing, and they would be posting really, really short
Blurbs.
Like Vine
Yeah.
or whatever. And
Yeah, well, I was going to say...
even before
we've-
Vine, they would just be
we've kind of went
posting short
to-
things on their website or their YouTube, and it would be like short little 30-second videos or 1 minute videos that kind of wrapped up a portion of what they were talking about in their talk or whatever, and they would post those. But now they're taking on the format of these smaller pieces of micro content, which they already were
Small.
dabbling in.
Mhm.
And so it's crazy seeing it get even smaller and smaller and smaller, because again, we just
I-
have
I
no
feel like-
patience nowadays.
I feel like we're finding a happy spot, though, because we had gone to Vine, which was, 6-7 seconds? Like, they were really
oh,
short.
wow.
some of the longer, some of the
super
more
brief.
high producing content creators for that were getting longer time blocks, though.
Yeah,
I can't
but
remember how long it was.
I
but
don't think it was more than 15 seconds, maybe.
maybe not. I don't
The
remember.
regular Vine was 6 seconds, wasn't
6
it?
or 7. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we did that, and then Vine kind of got trashed. I don't exactly remember what happened. And then TikTok happened, and 15 seconds is the smallest that you can record, and then you can go up to a minute. And then
okay.
creators that have a ton of followers go up to 3 minutes. And so I feel like we're kind of finding what's the right amount of brevity, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the people that are creating these apps, even for commercials,
Yeah, you can have a 15-second block or 30-second block or a minute. And minute ones, you notice that commercial is long.
Oh, yeah, totally.
You can tell.
yeah. And you have, and for and I'm thinking, we talked about this briefly a number of episodes ago, but about in regards to movie trailers and the number of movie trailers that they put out for an upcoming movie, the television movie trailers aren't as long as the ones that you see in the theater, because that would be very expensive to have multiple minute long trailers on TV. But now they have 15 or 30 second.
Have you
promos.
noticed that at the beginning of trailers now they have that little quick little thing
Quick
What?
little
before
thing.
the title? They'll have
What are you saying?
So okay. Let me take a moment to reflect and choose my words wisely before speaking instead of describing absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you talking about on YouTube?
I'm talking about trailers will have probably about a 2 or 3 second quick snapshot of a movie trailer
But you're talking
before
about when
it
you
starts actually.
you're talking about At-
Oh.
on social media, though, right?
On
Because
social media.
I haven't seen that in the
maybe
theaters.
not in the theaters.
But I exclusively see it on YouTube from
Yeah,
channels.
right? You know
that
what I'm
they're
talking
trying to. That's not actually part of the trailer. That's just part of the post that they've made. It usually has 3 little
Oh.
beats, action beats of like Spider-Man
Yeah.
flying through a wall or something like
And
that.
then it has, like, the title card.
and then it's like trailer starts
Yeah.
now, and then it goes to black, and then it starts
Exactly.
the trailer.
That's
I think
what I'm talking about.
They're just like putting that in there, but
So
it's
that
like trying
you're
to grab your
Caught
attention.
in the first
That's your
second.
hook.
Yeah.
That's where it's like a super mini trailer before the longer trailer, which is meant to be a miniaturized version of the movie, and it's just like
to
it's
tease
like
a
Man,
trailer,
this is
a teaser
quite meta.
into the
Yeah.
a teaser into the trailer into the movie.
yeah.
Or
Oh my
the
goodness.
announcement
When I saw that, I was
trailers
like, what
for
is
the
happening?
trailers. So it's like the new Avengers 17 trailer coming out this Thursday. Keep your eyes
Well-
peeled. And it's like 5-second long of a teaser for a trailer. Teaser for a teaser trailer for a real theatrical
Right.
trailer for the Super Bowl version that'll give us new information before we see the movie.
Well, and
So-
you guys know how ticked I get when I, have to get spoiled of a movie when watching a trailer. But now
right,
it's
yeah.
like of trailers that I'm actually interested in. Now those get spoiled before I can even watch it.
yeah.
The briefness of this hook has spoiled the trailer.
I do
Well,
believe there are some
I don't know.
production studios that are more at fault for that than others.
Yeah.
I can watch a Disney trailer, so that's any of the Disney families of
Mhm.
trailers, whether that's 20th Century Studios or
Marvel.
Pixar or Marvel
Mhm.
or Star Wars. I can watch any of those without being worried about one of those like slam cut 3-second trailer
That's gonna give
spoilers for the
things
trailer.
Mhm.
But there's Sony. Sony does a terrible job at that.
Mm.
I'm trying to think of the other ones, and I'm blanking on them, but I see them on YouTube all the time, and it frustrates me.
Yeah.
for no good reason. There's no reason for me to care about that at all. But yeah.
Mhm. But no, definitely TikTok is one of those things that like is I think the epitome of like that concept of like we desire, something that's quick, easy, can, doesn't take long. But I think there's a bit of an illusion to that because let's all be honest, there's been times where we've been on TikTok. And we're like, I'll
hours.
only look on it for like a couple videos or a 3 video. And then all of a sudden you look at your watch and you're like, holy cow.
45 minutes later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, I think that this all comes from what the studies have said is our attention span, like the average
Mhm.
human attention span. And I think that might be 7 seconds,
right.
the human attention span, which is probably where Vine got the 7 seconds
Oh, yeah.
from.
Mm.
And so when we watch something that's a minute long or 15 seconds long, like we have to actually be really interested in that on TikTok. Otherwise, I watch the first few seconds of a video and I just
Oh, totally.
next.
Mhm.
If it doesn't hook me,
Right. Now, is that something that like do you think has been cultivated in us? Or is that something that's like inherently like, oh, we can only really last this long before we, feel like we need to think about something
Both.
else or both?
yeah, I think there's always been an amount of like, this is humans are interested in something for this long, but it has been cultivated to become
Mm.
shorter and shorter.
So we applaud you listeners for listening to us up to this point.
Listeners are like,
3
oh, I'm
years.
doing something else in the background.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I'm getting my laundry folded.
Yeah.
Also, they live in Texas or something.
Well, they could already. They could be folding those denim jeans. We don't know.
Shout out to Stevie, who is probably baking right now.
There we go. There we go. Stevie, feel free to send us a comment or email and let us know what you ended up baking while listening to with this
Or a
particular episode.
sample.
Or a sample.
We'd like to eat the cookies, please.
Sorry,
thanks.
other listeners, you're not going to be able to.
No, you know what? Anybody that's listening, actually, that'd be very interesting to know what everybody is currently doing.
Oh,
Right,
yeah.
if you're
Yeah.
It
listening
would
to this
be.
episode,
Yeah,
pause it
Yeah.
pause it.
and send us a message on what you are currently doing right now.
Wait, what
Yeah.
email should they be sending it to? Or
You if you're listening to it online, I think you need the Anchor app in order to do this. But if you have the Anchor FM app, there's a feature on it that lets you send a 1-minute audio message to us.
cool.
So you just title it "What I Was Doing" and then send us your 1-minute message. Or if as Greg mentioned, you wanted to send it to us on email or via social media, we are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Send it to us on a private message there, or post about it and tag us online. Or
What's
our
our
email
email?
is thehouseboundpodcast@gmail.com.
Nice. And if you are driving at this moment, please do not do this until you've pulled over.
Don't do any of these things until disclaimer.
We don't want it to be, I was getting into an accident.
Yeah, that'd be
Please
bad
charge the Housebound podcast
Yeah.
with this ticket.
Yeah. No.
Yes, you can mail the tickets to. Anybody have a mailing address of somebody that you really don't like?
Yeah. I enjoy most people, so
Oh, you're so nice.
yeah.
Yeah, now back to our regularly scheduled
yeah,
program.
reality programming. Yeah. Okay. So back to in terms of what were we talking about?
Brevity.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
And
That's it for this episode.
TikToks. So yeah, I think that TikTok is a really good example in terms of brevity there, and has kind of that illusion to it. I think the infinite scroll has been a creation that instead of being able to click next on your web page or whatever, you actually literally can just keep scrolling, and there's that illusion that there's no end to the page. And I think that's something that definitely can suck us in. In terms of other things that I was thinking of that can be brief are just, I think, things that make life more convenient. So that would be something like the microwave or an Instant Pot.
So anything instant.
Quick fix meals.
So quick fix meals. Yeah.
Tea bags, fun fact, as we know them today, were originally a design around about the time that the like instant gratification of food kind of situation was happening.
Oh.
Part of me wants to say it was during or just after one of the wars, where I don't know if it had anything to do with the scarcity of resources or anything like that, but about this like whole instantaneous add water and egg to it and it makes a full meal kind of thing. Like we have those in stores now, but I think back then there was a little bit more to it. But then there was this whole revolution of, oh, we've taken away too many ingredients, add a few back in so that the housewives can still feel like they're accomplishing something. So it's like instant potatoes or instant whatever, but they
Right.
still have to add a couple of ingredients so it feels like you're actually cooking and not just anybody
Assembling.
can do it. Yeah,
Mhm.
and so then that in that whole frame of mind, you also have like it's tea bags used to just, or tea used to just be like loose leaf mostly.
Right, loose leaf,
And
yeah.
so then these are much quicker. They're disposable. You don't
Mhm.
have to like wash out a container. You just throw the tea bag away when it's done. And so anyways, so that's a tangent, but a fun
Interesting.
fact. So
Instant Pot, microwaves, those type of things. They make life more convenient. What are you guys' thoughts on microwaves, Instant Pots? Have you tried them? Do you enjoy them?
I've not tried an Instant Pot.
Oh.
I've seen them.
Have
They
you
I
seem
have
like a
used
pressure
microwave.
cooker.
Yeah,
They are.
They don't seem any different than
Ding,
a
ding,
pressure
ding.
cooker.
Dinging. Okay.
Sure, it might be
yeah.
just a branded name for that.
They're an
'Cause I
electronic
think-
pressure cooker
'cause I
with
think-
extra safety features.
Yeah.
So you don't blow your kitchen up.
That's handy.
I don't know a lot of people that blew their kitchen up with their pressure cooker either.
But you kept hearing those like the warning, of like.
Yeah, but
and
you got to
seeing-
put a warning on a chainsaw for people to not stop the saw with their genitals. So like I don't trust those warnings to be true
I've
stories.
not seen that
What?
warning on a chainsaw.
That is a real thing I have seen.
Okay.
Yikes! Like whatever story started that, like you.
I don't know.
All right.
Probably somebody sued the company. Anyways, the point is the pressure cooker story of like people exploding with it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that I like who. You got to be pretty dumb.
Well, you can always
Yeah.
find videos on YouTube, but then you think to yourself, they thought to record this.
Yeah.
There's no way they were following the instructions properly. If they set up a tripod ahead of time before they made their noodles.
Stacking 3 chairs on top of each other go horribly wrong.
Go horribly wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think all of us here, though, I don't think we enjoy manufacturing food.
Cooking.
No,
Yeah.
we definitely don't. I definitely
Ashlyn
don't
likes
appreciate
I
the
like
process.
cooking.
Do you actually? Do you?
Yes. Don't bundle me in with that camp.
Okay.
That camp on the other side of the table and to the left of me.
Constant tension in terms of what do we have for supper, right?
Yeah. But
But choosing what you have for supper is a different activity than making supper.
Yes.
And if I have the time in advance to be able to say, I'm going to make supper tomorrow and I have the ingredients ahead of time
right.
and I have the recipe in front of me, I have a grand old time.
You're talking about planning, and then the making of the meal
Talking about being
is the best
prepared.
part.
There's no brevity to that. Like you even from the meal boxes that you can get mailed to your house with the pre-assembled ingredients, and you just have to do the minimal amount of cooking. You're looking at like about a half an hour minimum.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's usually about the average time, but I find that it's 25 minutes is like the lowest I've ever seen in those.
Right.
So in my mind, half an hour spending to get to food, which unless you are sitting down at a table and taking your time eating, is going to take a third of that amount of time to consume.
It's too long.
It's definitely the generation and the society that we live in now. It's all instantaneous gratification.
Mm-hmm.
I do enjoy though the effort of being able to like put in the time to make a good meal. Like I own a like a pasta roller to make your own pasta at home. Making your own pasta at home is more expensive than buying pre-made. Oh yeah, totally.
Wow.
Fresh eggs, and I mean it's just eggs and flour for the most part, but pasta is cheap.
And the time that you spend.
And the time you spend is astronomical in comparison to just
I really
boiling
love
pasta.
making pasta.
But you do it because making it is fun and it tastes good. But that's a kind of a side benefit. Like I've made 7, 8, 9 batches now of French macarons. That is an afternoon to make 12 cookies.
But what was it that I was recently making that I was like, I am so stressed?
Grilled cheese.
Grilled cheese. Okay. Like literally I said, I am stressed while I was making.
I was doing homework and Greg came out to me and he was just like sweating bullets. He was like, supper's done.
What did you do?
Okay,
Did you
but it was a
hunt a
fancier
grilled cheese in the wild?
It was like spinach feta grilled cheese.
Yeah,
like,
it's not extra fancy. You just put the spinach and feta.
Correct. It was still stressful.
Wait, sorry. Do you still make these in the toaster?
No, this
okay,
is actually
because then I can
pan-fried.
understand.
No, how I normally make grilled cheese. Let's just tell the audience. This is how like the legitimate people who want things to be nice, easy, and quick. How I make my grilled cheese
nice
normally.
off that list. Easy, quick. Nice needs to go.
The quality.
Okay, so you put your butter in the toaster. You put the toaster down, and then you set it.
I'm sorry.
I'm
You put your butter in the toaster?
Yes, it's toasted butter, guys.
What?
And then it smokes out your house a little bit.
And then it
Okay,
starts on fire.
let's restart. So what you do is you put your bread, not your butter, in your toaster, and you wait a little bit. It's not long. Eventually it pops up. And then at that point, you do add your butter to your toast, not your toaster. And you add your slices of cheese in there. And at that point, it's kind of like the cheese is sort of melting a little bit because the toast is hot. So that's cool. But if you want just that little extra bit of, like melted cheese gooiness, you just throw it into the microwave just for another, 15, 20,
So you're toasting the bread
20 or so
and
seconds.
Microwave.
And then you microwave it.
sogging it up.
No. It's toasted. It's toasted, so it's dry, and so it doesn't really get too soggy. Yes,
Okay.
if you blast it for like 40 seconds,
Sure.
like an amateur, at that point
Oh,
it
I'm so
does
sorry.
get
I
soggy.
had no idea.
What are you doing in your life?
At
Oh
that
my
point, it
goodness.
does get soggy. But if you want that premium quality grilled cheese, you just toss it in for 15 seconds. The cheese is nice and gooey. Make sure you put that on high 15 seconds, not low. Don't be weird. And adjust your power levels on your microwaves. Nobody does that.
Okay, so this has been about as brief of an explanation as any cooking recipe post that you come across online,
Those
where they
blogs
tell you
that go on for hours.
where you
But
tell your
Last
whole.
week, my aunt came over to visit for the holidays,
Yeah.
and we were reminiscing about
about eggplant grilled cheese.
It's delicious. So go ahead, listeners, pause the podcast and make yourself a Greg's grilled cheese sandwich. You will only be disappointed if your name is Ashlyn.
Okay, so but with this new one,
Yeah.
with the spinach and
Oh yeah, the spinach.
You were
and
stressed
feta.
because you were making it like a proper person.
I don't know exactly why I was
There was
stressed.
a frying pan involved.
Yeah.
I mean, if you
Call Dave Ramsey.
Dave Ramsey's the
you mean
financial
Gordon
guy.
Ramsay, Dave Ramsay be like, you're making food at home and you're in your mid-20s. Congratulations. You're sacrificing you're sacrificing now to enjoy your future. I applaud you. May I put you on my podcast?
But let's be honest. I'm probably at the level where Dave Ramsey would be helpful.
No. And then the image of Gordon Ramsay that I see is the meme with him with that one cook's head in between two slices of bread, and he's like, "What are you?" And she goes, "I'm an idiot sandwich."
Oh my gosh, this is the best minute of my life. Wow.
Okay.
I said Dave Ramsey entirely thinking I was saying Gordon Ramsay, and you guys were the faces. The faces I
Said
received.
it all.
Now,
Very confused.
You've
is
never
what we were.
heard of him? Are you living under a rock?
in regards to
Heaven.
food,
Yeah.
I was thinking about when you're ordering food at a drive-thru. And so that's supposed to be a very quick process.
Right.
That's
Unless you
it's-
go to Burger King.
well,
Or
that's the
DQ.
thing. You're supposed to have a
Yeah.
very quick process,
DQ is very slow.
Yes.
but there are certain of these quote unquote fast food restaurants where, yeah, I mean, it's not 30 minutes. And so then I guess it's slower, or sorry, then I guess it's faster.
Mm-hmm.
But then you get sometimes people ahead of you that are taking forever to order.
Right.
And so then that slows everybody down. And then you have kitchens that are either low staffed or new staffs. I'm gonna write that down.
Kitchens that are low staff.
Kitchens that are low staff or have just new staff, and that slows everything down. Or you get several cars ahead of you, and just by the way that the world works, it's longer of a wait than if you had been the first person in line.
Mhm.
And so this process, again, that is supposed to be quick is, I mean, sometimes it's on a really, really bad day. Sometimes I've been stuck in a line for 20 minutes, almost 25 minutes, which is insane to me, especially if you're trying to get anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just like leave the line and decide not to get your food or not even.
unless you have a 4x4.
Well, I mean, most places don't have a lane
My
for you to-
barrier, kuchon.
I don't care that I ordered this food.
Yeah, goodbye exhaust and also
Oil pan.
we do not have a 4x4. But yeah, so there's all these things that I was thinking about where it's supposed to be a quick process, and we enjoy the speed of this being really quick in theory. And it's even presented to us as this nice, quick, smooth, you get in, you get out kind of thing. There's literally a fast food joint called In and Out. It's all about the speed. And so it's ingrained in us that this is a speedy process. But it almost never is, in my experience.
Yeah, I think it kind of depends on when you get there. I know. Yeah, I know that there's sometimes where especially if you're at like the rush hour of the like it just like drive through takes forever. You go inside, it takes forever. Like, you know, either you're gonna lose either way. And then when you're inside, you're like, oh, they're taking all those drive through orders and dealing with them quicker than us. And then when you're out in the drive through, you're like, oh, it's taking so long. They're probably like prioritizing like dine in orders, and you know. So
do we have this this recognition or false recognition that the world is going faster for everybody else but us? Like, is that a thing that we struggle with? Maybe that
I
we just
think-
perceive that we are having to wait and then we're impatient.
I don't think we necessarily perceive that we're always the one waiting, but I think if we always compare ourselves to whoever is the fastest. Like if there's 5 checkout lanes and there's one that you notice that's going way faster than yours, you're like, oh, should have been in that one.
Yeah.
But you don't recognize the 3 other lanes that are taking the same amount of time as yours or even longer.
Yeah.
You focus on the one that's going faster and being like, ah!
Yeah.
I have a special trick for waiting in lines, whether it's drive-through or grocery or whatever. I get out my phone and
then play
I
a
turn
game?
on TikTok.
Yeah.
If you're in
Because
the
you can watch
passenger
like 15 of them while you're waiting.
Not if you're in the driver's seat.
No, I also do when I'm driving.
I
Sometimes.
should probably not admit to that.
If there's a train and I'm in park, I'm gonna watch TikTok.
Pretty sure you can still get a ticket for that because you're operating a
I'm
vehicle on a roadway.
I'm sure I could, but
How would they get to you? There's a train.
Motorcycles.
what? They can't go through trains.
The TikTok
Police in jogging shorts.
Police in what?
Just running down the street. Hey!
Hey.
Taps gently on your window. I noticed you were
This gun in a holster, just like
slapping against.
He's
It's like a
running.
thigh burn from the gun. Oh right, yeah. These are short shorts. These are like waistband length.
Briefs.
Yeah. Full circle.
Yep.
So yeah, but yeah, I do think that there is something to comparing to others, and that makes it seem longer. Also, I think if you notice that you're not in the fast line and you're just like, oh, they're going through those people so quickly. Like I definitely chose the longest line, and then that line just seems like your line just takes forever. So I think that is an interesting thing that time kind of changes a bit when you compare to other people.
Mm-hmm.
So, but speaking of, I was also thinking like conveniencing things like when we're talking about driving cars and waiting in trains and stuff is just the idea of like driving cars instead of like walking, where like that makes your trip a way more short, way more brief, and definitely quickens things up quite a bit. But even in that, like I definitely need like music playing or like a podcast like this one playing as I drive to make it so that it's goes by much quicker. But definitely if I was walking, that would have been. And I actually did try biking to work for a little bit.
Are you gonna do that again this summer?
If I'm feeling up for it.
That's a no.
Not like
In case the listeners didn't
Guys,
get
his asthma.
Yeah. No, he didn't bike to work one day last summer.
No, I think I did. I'm pretty sure I did at least a couple.
We're 50-50 split on that issue.
Okay. I know that I was trying to bike a lot the previous...
Yeah, the
this-
previous summer to that.
The previous summer.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. Just pandemic definitely like flips my brain in terms of
Yeah, it might have been
when
3
was
summers
that?
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it feels like it was a while ago, but anyways, and that was definitely like it took a little bit longer, but it was nice because I was able to, it maybe doubled my trip length, but I was able to exercise while doing it every day, both there and back from work. So that was nice. And I was being eco-friendly, so that was also helpful. And now I drive to work every day. Despite
Like
it
a
being-
chump.
like a chump.
I mean, it's fast. It fits the mold. It's faster.
It is faster.
Like,
And if
And
I need to
warmer.
and if I need to run errands or something, like pick something up on the way home, I'm not going to be biking and picking something up. We've all seen those people who get their
very few of them have come prepared.
Yeah. And like you see them where they have like one bag on one handlebar and now they're just like super off balance. I think we've also all tried this at some point, and it's just that wobble, the handlebar wobble where you're like things are going great and then all of a sudden whoa, because it tosses you off balance, and then it's very quickly you are on the ground, your knees bleeding, you're crying out for help and nobody cares.
It's because you're an adult and you're crying about your knee being bleeding.
That is the interesting thing about transportation now. Even that, like, we like to make it's all about convenience and making things quicker. And even if like even if I worked super close, there's times where or yeah, like we have a Shoppers Drug Mart not too far from us. I'm going to be driving there. Typically, we don't. I mean, sometimes we do walk there.
I usually walk if I'm going to Shoppers.
Ashlyn usually
Mhm.
walks.
Even if it's really cold.
Does it depend exclusively
on the person. Correct.
Well, on
That's
how
what-
much time you have available to you,
Mm.
or is it given both
Yeah.
of you having the entire Saturday afternoon off and both of you needing to go get something? Let's say it's separate Saturdays. And on Saturday 1, Greg decides he's going to take the car simply because he can't be bothered with how long it would take to bike or walk. Or Saturday 2, Ashlyn decides to walk because she doesn't mind the bother. Like, is
Might
there
come down to
is
a bit
that
of time where
factor
I'm
in
like,
that,
oh, it's much more valuable for me to spend my time, trying to beat 3 levels of
Right.
Super Mario 3D
Yeah.
World.
Yeah.
than,
Whereas I think even if I'm in a time crunch, I'm still going to walk to Shoppers Drug Mart because it's an 8-minute walk from our house.
Yeah.
And so the amount of time it takes to unlock the garage, get into your car, open the car door, and then drive there and park, I might as well have walked.
Yeah.
That's actually, when you put it that way, it's not that's not too bad. That's pretty
And that
compelling.
was a live realization. You
This
heard
has
it
been
here, folks.
Therapy with Greg.
Mine's being changed
Yeah.
live.
Oh, dear. They'll never be the same.
I'm a new man. Yeah. I'm still probably gonna end up driving the next week. Let's be real.
Doesn't save me any time.
Yeah.
No, but I will end up driving.
It lasts as long as the average New Year's resolution.
Yeah.
Those are brief. That's true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that I was thinking about was just first impressions of people, because that's where you get like, you kind of create like a brief judgment, like in a split second, about how how that person carries themselves or whatever.
Sure. Yep.
Which does impact how you view it. Sometimes it'll take time to get over a bad first impression. So it's at least something that I was thinking about. What was your guys' first impression of me and Ashlyn?
I
Do
don't
I
know.
even remember?
I remember.
I
when we first met
remember.
you guys.
I mean,
You
so
guys
Tell
left
us then,
for-
'cause
you
I
guys
don't
left
remember.
If
for
I'm
the- for
going to
what
be
the-
totally honest, I don't remember meeting you, Holly. I just
That's not
remember
surprising.
that Chris had a
Oh
wife.
no.
Yeah. That's not surprising at all.
I don't think you
And this-
said much in the conversation.
This is coming
sure
from
I didn't.
Ashlyn.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm sure I didn't say anything because I
No,
think,
you definitely
what
did
was it,
say
a
something.
baptism or something?
It was a
baptism.
Hey, good job.
Yeah. Well, only because you've told me
Oh.
that's where we met.
I
Yeah,
have this
I don't
thing where-
remember it.
I have this thing where I also
But-
don't remember the first times that I've generally met somebody, but
Yeah.
I do recall something around that time. And so I remember that it was within around that time. I mean, we must have known each other well enough for you to have invited us to your wedding, but the wedding is like the first solid memory that I remember. I remember that there was a relationship built before this because we got invited, but I also remember not knowing you incredibly well yet.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think we had games once,
Like a games
potentially,
night or something. Yeah.
but it might have been with another
think we had a couple.
at Board Gamery.
I know I was definitely at Caney Board Gamery that we played games with like a couple of friend of yours who like I don't think we've never seen them since. So we don't know, are they alive?
They didn't make the cut, but we did. It was an audition.
It was. And then also I'm pretty sure we played King of Tokyo. I remember that.
Okay.
But no, the very first time we met you guys,
Yeah.
it was at a baptism, and Chris was quoting vast quantities of material of Batman and Spider-Man.
Batman and Spider-Man. A bunch of it.
Like,
A
also
bunch.
not
in
surprising.
succession.
Yes. It was a steady stream of Batman,
We
Spider-Man.
were laughing. You were quoting. That was the first time we met.
Well, I think
Holly was standing back being like, I hate social situations.
And also, she's not a fan of those little shorts.
But I think
you
Holly
and
was
I were-
thinking that, there's this other couple that's like kind of a little nerdy, like maybe there's something there.
Holly tends to think, they're taking this really well from Chris. Maybe they could put up with us.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny.
I don't feel the same.
Aw, they're taking me really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was definitely, like I think we ended up just like connecting because of like that there was like there were. I mean,
Some of
Batman
that
Spider-Man
like
is
pop
like
culture.
it's such a
if you
good
could call it that.
yeah it's such great fertile ground for friendship building.
Stupid.
It is about friends.
It
is
is.
a
It is.
cartoon
Oh my
about
gosh.
friends.
It's stupid.
Yeah, and then I'm pretty sure we ended up watching some Batman Spider-Man. I don't know if it was right after.
Probably just on the phone. Or
Maybe
something.
been on the phone. I don't know, but I definitely remember. Yeah. Oh, and then you were telling us about your YouTube channel that you were content
came up to me
creators.
afterwards and you were like, "What kind of YouTube videos do you like to watch?" And I was like, "That's a very personal question." For the first time we met each other,
I mean,
so I remember I really
I feel like it probably
reluctally-
wasn't said that.
No,
dark.
I vividly
Hey.
remember that I was like, so I
Show me your browser history.
basically, and so I was like, vlogs.
Yes.
And he
Oh,
was
I got a
like,
treat for you.
perfect.
Holly and I and another one of our friends. You'll
Have
never,
a
also
vlog.
never hear from again.
Yeah, we vlog.
We have a vlog channel. We're doing vlog. We're doing Vita.
You were
We
yeah
did do Vita
But I
Vlogging
don't remember what
every
we were
day.
doing at that point.
of April.
of April.
And I had never heard of Vita, but I was like, okay.
And then you got to know us through that.
Yeah.
We definitely did watch multiple of those videos. I think before we got together with you guys
Because
again.
we were in one of them.
Oh yeah, we did end up
Oh,
becoming.
That was after we started. Yeah.
That was
okay.
the King Me or the King
Not
of
King
Tokyo.
Me.
King
That
of
was King of
Tokyo. I'm
Tokyo.
pretty sure there was a yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
wearing my owl sweater.
Yeah.
I remember.
Oh my gosh. I don't know how you guys remember any
This
of this.
was our first Vita
I
season.
think I block out everything from 1 week ago on. This is all new. Every time you talk about it, it's all
Okay,
new.
my name's Greg.
Hi, Greg.
This is Ashlyn.
Hi, Ashlyn.
We met about a month ago.
And this is
Wow.
Housebound.
I remember.
That's why we do it every time. To
Every
help
time,
Greg
it's
out.
literally just-
It's not for you, listeners.
is because Holly will forget what we're doing at the table. Who are these people? What are these things? What's this thing in front of my?
I said 1 week. 1 week. No, really. Like you guys just
Yeah.
in my memory, you guys are just there at some
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
There's no beginning.
And no end.
Yeah, hopefully.
So the vlog was definitely what I remember. We did watch it. I know we watched a bunch of it before also because we were like, we don't really know these people, but this vlog is a great chance to get to know them before we actually like hang out with them
That's
a lot.
fair. Yeah.
So so that was cool. We were able to figure out that you're somewhat normal people from that. And yeah. I think that was definitely our first impression was like, hey, they're kind of into stuff that, you know, at least Greg's into.
Poor Ashley.
Greg and Chris have similar interests. Let's
Yeah.
be friends.
The women will figure something out.
Yeah.
Oh, it's painful because it's true.
You have bookshelves with unread material. I have bookshelves full of unread material.
You like to collect things and
keep
like
them
to
in their
And
boxes.
never
order them
touch
on the
them
shelf.
again.
Yeah.
So do I.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Yeah. You have a big collection of board games, some of them that you haven't really played much.
This is a great basis for a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
I'm in. Let's buy something large together.
Now, which one of us is Batman and which one of us is Spider-Man? That's the true question.
I don't know.
You can't ask him a question
They're
like
both
that
kinda
and not
the
expect
same.
him to think about the answer.
And seriously.
And seriously?
No, and think about it seriously.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
This is an important question.
Yeah.
Chris.
Chris is bigger, so he has to be Batman.
Okay, sure.
I think that's all it comes down to.
Is Greg more
More floppy?
nimble? Because I think
Because in that cartoon, neither of them do anything with bones.
Yeah, other
They
than
just kind of roll around.
around.
they just kind of do whatever.
Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, I
Greg might be
I'm
more the
partial
voice of
to-
reason, though.
I'm
so
partial
that
to
would be-
Spider-Man, but that's mostly just
Sure.
because
You can have it.
He does his little like,
Oh,
up his
his
wrist,
little flip,
and
and
then
then
just drags himself along the floor. Oh, it's so good. Okay, listeners, if you're not driving, just go look
And if
up
you are,
Batman,
please pause
Spider-Man.
and roll
Yeah.
and drive and pull over to the side of the road, and then go and
It's
look
good.
up Batman and Spider-Man.
Good old animated videos. Anyways, and those were nice and brief. Those were quick, short videos. And you know what they did? They were about friendship, and they've also helped develop friendships. So,
Aww.
yeah.
Aw.
Ollie's like, no.
I regret so much. I regret so much of this.
So ridiculous.
You mean this is how we met?
Yeah.
Over that stupid cartoon.
Yeah.
If I can interject again, speaking briefly as we did earlier about weddings, receiving lines at weddings are another
Kill
thing
me.
that are supposed to be brief, but because of the number of people going through,
Yeah.
and because of there's always that one group of people, usually right near the beginning, that decides they're just going to take 5 times as long to
Yeah.
greet or congratulate or just suddenly have a conversation, and there's an entire line of people behind you.
If there's
Move it.
anything good that's come out of COVID, it's the fact that those lines have been a lot briefer. People can't hug.
Yeah. And also, you just have less people in the party.
Yeah,
I always
very true.
hate the receiving lines that have the entire wedding party.
Oh, I think ours was
you
just
don't
Ours
know.
is just the two of us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is great. Which is how it should be. If you're going to have a receiving line, the people
You don't have to say
that
hi to my
came-
aunt.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
Your bridesmaids
you're talking about the people that
don't
are
know
being
anybody.
received?
Mhm.
Like
Like
where
you wouldn't have
your,
the entire
your
wedding
parents on
party.
both
I know,
sides
and-
also up there. I see.
I don't. Who's the receiver?
I don't know.
Is it
I-
the community that's welcoming the
I-
couple into?
Yeah, I feel like that's what
or
it
is it the couple who's welcoming the community to their celebration?
Well, there's 2 communities if you're looking at the couple, because they were 2 separate groups of people,
I
right?
wish, listeners,
And
that
that-
you could see our faces, because Ashlyn and I are looking at each other like,
And we
oh
realize
my goodness.
We definitely have something in common.
What is this conversation?
It's every podcast. I don't know what
That
to tell
was a
you.
Are the receiving
legitimate
people
question.
receiving the people?
This is a good question.
Is it?
Do you have an answer?
It doesn't matter.
Oh,
Well, sure, but do you have an answer?
but that makes it fascinating that we call it a receiving line, but we don't know who's being received.
We probably do and just haven't thought about it.
That's
It's
I'm
probably
sure if I
from a
Google it.
generation that does not, like, that cared, but we don't. For real, though.
that's
Chris
fair.
is Googling it.
I feel like if I had to put money down, I'd say the couple is being received by the community, but it doesn't matter.
Oh, I was going to say the opposite.
Oh,
Well, I guess we don't have anything in common.
Receiving the people to say hello to the new couple.
Okay, well, this says that a group of people who stand in a line and individually welcome guests as at, so not exclusive to, but including a wedding reception.
so they're the
So
ones.
the
couple
the
is
couple
receiving the
would
guests.
be the people
Yeah.
receiving the guests. Okay,
Well,
But
so
what
then-
about a reception?
Well, that's what it's saying at a reception.
But reception, receive.
Well,
Yes.
that's what the
where
example
that's where
was.
you're usually supposed to do it,
Because you
though.
receive them in. I think we do this thing where
or is
we
it the
say,
guests that
save
are
it for
receiving a
after the
meal?
We save it for after.
Go home.
And is it the couple that receives the toast or the giver of the toast?
My goodness.
Who's eating what?
Do you
Who
butter the
receives
toast?
the first
or,
dance?
did they
do you butter the
microwave it?
toast or toast the butter?
Oh goodness, yeah, but yeah, lines are appropriate. Also, buffet lines at weddings, they got to figure out that stuff out. The best way to do it.
I don't think there's a good.
The best way to do
system.
it is make sure that you have it so that it's not just one side of the table that you're using. You're using both sides of the
Oh,
table.
yeah, for
At
sure.
least
The
do
area.
that.
So then
Yeah.
you can send 4 tables up at once.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
For real.
but
Also, very important for that kind of activity is to have activities on the table that the tables who are waiting can then do
mhm.
while waiting for their food.
like crosswords,
Yep.
Sudoku puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Anything like that.
it's actually
Phones with TikTok preloaded.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
For the Gen Z weddings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to put like a game on a table necessarily because then you
because you're about to
You
eat.
lose all your pieces.
Well, also you'd have to
everything
teach
would
them.
get full of food.
People aren't really willing to take 30 seconds to learn a new game generally.
It doesn't take 30 seconds.
It
to
takes
learn a new
about
game.
5 or 10 minutes depending. There are some games that you can teach very quickly. But
I'm sure.
I'm too busy. If I was, I would be a part of the wedding party, so I wouldn't have time to.
If I was at a wedding,
I'm
I'd be part of the party.
always important.
I'd be a part of the party.
I'm always a VIP.
Where did that comment come out of?
No. I was just talking about if I was the one who was making the decision about what was to be at each table, it would chances are that would be my own wedding. So I would be
Yes,
part
yes.
Because
of the wedding.
Okay.
that's not how it came across, hon.
No, but I will be getting
And-
married several times.
That's where listeners got a first impression of Greg that was very false. Very false. He is not that full of himself. Or is he? He might be. So
He's not that full of himself. He will just move his feet to let the dog lie down.
Yeah. Or get out of the bed if
Ashlyn rolls over.
rolls over.
Just leave the bed.
Because he's too passive.
well,
Oh boy, this
I'll go
seems
to
like a different podcast.
Greg, the lovable pushover.
Literal pushover.
Literally. Yeah.
So the question I have for you all
Yes.
is shorter better?
No. Because you're always
Depends.
sacrificing something for the briefness. So in cooking, you're sacrificing the quality of the food for the convenience of the food. In walking or biking to work, you're sacrificing, or driving to work, you're sacrificing the exercise in order. It's just
And the
different.
environment.
Yes. Yeah. So I would say shorter is just different than longer. Obviously.
In brief.
Well, like as
shorter, different, longer.
as in they're not comparable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In
you can't really
a
compare
sense,
them.
like you can, but you also
There's always
they're
something
also
that you
different.
have to sacrifice
Right.
in order
There's
to
a
make
cost.
Right.
Yeah.
to make the time shorter.
So anytime you're making any decision in your life, it's time to pull out the pros and cons
Yes. I love lists.
and weigh the option of doing it quicker.
And if you had just made a split-second decision, you would have saved yourself a bunch of time.
But maybe not convenience. Maybe not actual. For instance, if we plan a party, Chris would say we need to sit down and write down all the things that we need for the party and
all the
purchase
things
them, and all the things that we
We need
might
to communicate.
Yeah,
That was one of the things that I
Right.
was thinking about
right.
during this episode was
And then
making
somebody
plans
else-
is one of those
Mhm.
things that I like to have be brief, but like
But
and
thorough.
they could be brief, but well, yeah, and
Yeah.
I don't think thoroughness has anything
Thorough.
to do with it because
Being
you
thorough
can be thorough
generally
and brief,
means
but
that you're not as brief.
sure.
You're usually taking more time if
Okay,
you're going to be thorough.
So I'll interrupt you and say this in that I feel as though if you send a single email or a single text message with all the information in it, that is something that's like the message itself is not brief, but it is a single instance of the message and it sends all the information at once. And so you sit down, think of all the information, send it. Now that person has it, as opposed to sending one line of information, getting a response or another question back, and then repeating that 20, 30 times. Like there's
Unfortunately, when you send all of the information in one email, you still get the questions because people don't read the email.
This
Right.
is
but
a
we can't
common-
control what other people do. We can only
Common
control
thing.
what we do, right? And so that's the way that I approach the situations is generally thinking this will keep my interaction brief in
Right.
the long run, in the large scheme of things, by sending this one instance of message or and all the clarification that I feel needs to go with it. So sorry, I interrupted you though, but you can continue
Oh,
in planning.
yeah. I was just thinking about like you would pick up everything that we even might need, whereas I would pick up everything that I think we need, and then if we happen to need something else, I'll just run over to Shoppers or something like that. So like the difference in briefness of the planning and the preparation might sacrifice the smoothness of the party later, or it might not, but you're not sure
Right.
whether that will happen or not. So you're either putting more time in the beginning or more time in the actual event.
Right.
But either way, you're sacrificing it at some point.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say it depends.
Yeah, I agree.
Mhm.
If it's a meeting, never.
Never. Actually, never. They can't go on forever. No.
Ashton's like, maybe. Breakfast provided, lunch included,
Oh, gosh.
and then supper to follow.
And then the room smells like people, and it's
Yeah.
yucky.
Yeah. Okay. One of my favorite days of work that I've ever had is when you get the 2-day course of first aid. It's 2 days of a meeting all day.
I have
love
to
it.
do that. I just got an email about it today.
Yeah.
And I want
the whole
I
2-day
want first
one?
aid. Yeah, CPR
Yeah.
and
I
first
only
aid.
get the 1-day one. It's like 4
because it's
hours.
a research.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. But
I'm all in for
Oh.
2 days. I pass out at the sight of blood. I will be there.
pass out at the side of one. Why are you taking first aid? You should not be the person that is qualified for this.
I have dealt with one first aid situation, and it was a dislocated shoulder. I did great.
Because there was no blood.
Yep.
So you're just gonna like compound the problem.
Sling
There'll be 2 people
extraordinaire.
lying on the
Two
floor.
people.
Why is this
Okay,
one out?
Does anyone else have first aid?
Yeah, exactly.
This one was a dud.
Yeah.
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 I need to do it. I just got the email today and I was thinking to myself, oh, I wish I could just do the research. That's 4 hours in the afternoon. Because I've taken first aid before and it's all really interesting, but so long.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, at least when I was kind of reflecting on this question, I know that a couple things sort of came to mind was just in regards to, okay, so like the whole like car ride versus walking situation. And how I don't know where I read it, but like kind of in ancient times this person wrote it down as termed it as camel time, where you have this time to like essentially like because it takes so long to like travel between cities, you have, so let's say you're going down to a city for like a festival, you then have time to kind of reflect back on how the festival went and all, because you have to like travel by camel and it's like nice and slow and meandering, and you kind of have this time to like think and pause and reflect. And I think that's the thing that's kind of tends to be missing in our culture of briefness and brevity, and how we kind of it's easy to idolize those things. It's like, hey, this was quicker and it made things much easier or whatever. But sometimes it's actually like it is super healthy to like pause and like not rush from thing to thing. And there was a book that both me and Ashlyn read by John Mark Comer called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. And it was recommended by a lot of different people. And so I listened to it on an audiobook because it was much more convenient while at work. So cutting down that time that I needed to spend on it significantly. But at the same time, though, like it was a really good book that kind of just pointed out how, yeah, if you look back to how things used to be, it used to be that, you know, like people, they went to bed really early and then they ended up waking up early, and there was, you know, like it's not like necessarily that they were much better people for having woken up at 3 a.m., you know, to do whatever. Like it was actually like, no, it's just literally when they woke up because they went to bed at like 6 or whatever.
Because that's when the sun went down.
Yeah. So, and just how like, yeah, and I don't know, he just talked about like things that like, yeah, when it comes to like our phones and how like that's so easy to become absorbed into that, and it's hard to actually like, it's making it so that it's hard for us to focus on things. And so, but when you take those moments to just pause and think and reflect, that can be very, I think, profound, like character wise. And like, I don't know, I used to, as a kid, my parents made me, like mom made me journal. I haven't done that in ages, you know, but I think that was like a healthy thing to do, you know. And
I have to find those. I never knew these existed.
I don't know where they are. I don't know.
I'm gonna find them.
I'm pretty sure what you're gonna end up finding is at least some drawings at some point in
just
there,
some pictures.
and the arms that I used to use literally looked like that I drew, like, because I was trying to draw hands as well, and ended up making it so that everybody kind of just looked like they had wings.
Little short stubby
Just little
wings.
short stubby fingers, and just like big hands that kind of extended out. Yeah. Anyways, so that's just a little teaser for what you would find if you did uncover those.
I also journaled a little bit,
I hope you
completely
don't.
unrelatedly, but I
Holly, you need to
don't have
uncover
stick.
those.
I don't have stick figures, and I don't even know if
He
I have
probably
the journals
threw them
anymore.
away.
We can compare our husbands' old journals
Great.
and then have something in common.
That's two things in common. Keep it up.
I did not journal as a child.
I love you.
I love you too.
Oh, another thing in common.
You drew though, so
Yes, that's true.
we can slow ourselves down at times.
Mhm.
But then how do we? And I think we don't always observe this about ourselves, so it might be hard for us to figure this out ourselves. But are there things that we can do to help us not overstay our welcome, for lack of better words? Like if we're in a position, like I don't even think you're cognizant of it sometimes, but if you're the kind of person that like just gets talking and enjoys talking, or like what are some things that we could do to, I guess, rein ourselves in? I mean, I think what comes to mind is most obvious would be, oh, you have to think about other people. Okay, so you observe the world around you. If you're in something like a receiving line, just be aware, like there are other people. There are other people waiting.
And let's be honest.
And like, do you have to set a timer on your watch before you step up to the line? And just like my Fitbit will just vibrate at me, so I could go, 20 seconds. 20 seconds is plenty of time, especially when there's 100 people in the line waiting to say congrats and whatever. Like,
Yeah,
like,
I
what
think
are
it comes down to active listening rather than half the time when other people are thinking, you're just thinking about what you're going to say next.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay,
But
yeah.
how to active listening involves just actually thinking about what they're saying rather than exactly what your response is going to be. I didn't do that while you were talking, though, Chris. I was talking about thinking about active listening.
No,
What I-
Yeah.
Well, but I was going to say that this is something that I've learned just doing this podcast. And sometimes I find it easier when we're doing it separate from each other than when we're in the same place together.
Mhm.
Not always, but it's definitely something that I have worked on, or felt that I've had to work on as we've been doing this, because there's four of us and we all have widely different thoughts and can go in a million different tangents as we're talking.
Right.
And so to keep us on track, we have to be like filtering, like, okay, that's funny and we could go on a tangent about this, but then we also have to, it cuts down on the
and
editing
sorry,
time
listeners,
if we
sometimes we do actually just say yes to those tangents, and we embrace
It's
them with
mostly
open
my
arms.
fault.
Well, no,
Ah.
I think
I
we
don't know
all
that it's
contribute.
any one particular person's
Yeah.
fault. It's just what happens. And I mean, you're listening to, it's a somewhat filtered but largely unfiltered conversation.
Yeah.
And when we're all not trying to make ourselves be fully understood by somebody else that's going to listen to this later on after we've edited this episode, then we would just talk over top of each other and laugh and be loud about it. And sometimes even in the edits of these things, it's loud, and it's hard to understand what's going on, what's being said. But
yeah,
when
listening.
it's much different listening to it in audio form than just being there in the moment, for sure. But anyways,
Yeah, no,
Tangent.
and you can, and listeners, I'm sure, like, if you've listened to all of them, there's definitely been points where you're like, I don't think Greg heard anything about what was talked about before. That is either a completely unrelated point or completely contradicts what was just said. Because there's been times where I've re-listened to the podcast and I went, I definitely was not listening at that point. And I can tell.
That's funny.
But yeah. So it happens. Thankfully it's not often, but there's those little Easter eggs where listeners, if you go back and listen, you go, There we go. That's the point where Greg's mind drifted. Yeah, and I think having those pauses and just being able to like not constantly rush from thing to the next, because usually that's the thing that happens when you end up, people ask you, oh, how's it going? And you're like, oh, things are good, and like, how's life? Oh, like it's busy. And, and everyone just sort of accepts that as like, yeah, like that's an okay thing. And it's like, well, no, like sometimes I think it's good if life isn't crazy busy and you're not rushing from thing to thing, because then that gives you, room to breathe and listen and be creative and all those other types of things. And so yeah, but we thank you listeners for being able to fit us into your schedules as you're probably driving or doing laundry or
Baking.
Yeah, because we're not brief.
We aren't.
No. We thought we could be once.
No,
We
I was
were
going to say
wrong.
we thought that with this more better season that we would have like better quality episodes from the equipment that we're using, but also more of an episode. And it would be easier to attain because we'd just be sitting and chatting. And we often sit and chat or play video games and talk or debrief post viewing a movie or TV show or something like that for long periods of time. And it's very easy to do. I think when we're trying to come up with content that's engaging to have somebody else listen to, that's maybe where we start to, I don't know, struggle sounds like a bad thing, but I think it's something that we are working on developing as we do more of these episodes. And so, I don't think we need to be terribly brief.
No, but we
Not in
definitely,
these instances,
we want
but-
this to hopefully be something that you look forward to in your month. And, when it pops out, you're like, hey, new Housebound episode. Yay. Instead of like, oh, those guys, they're so long-winded. And
But I have to listen.
I
to
have
them. They
to, 'cause
need the
I'm-
listeners.
they need listeners or, I'm one of the host's brothers. Or, I just...
And when he quizzes me the next week on what we talked about that episode, I can't disappoint him again.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, no, I do you guys have anything else you want to say on brevity?
Nope.
I now know what it means.
You now know what it means.
It's been a very long lesson. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
These episodes are all for you, Adam.
They're all to remind me who people are.
Mm-hmm. All right, should we go around the circle again? I'm Greg.
I'm Ashlyn.
I'm Chris.
My name's Holly. I remember that.
And you're invited to join us next episode, but also you're invited to follow us on all of our social media. Feel free. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We have an Anchor FM page where we post our podcasts, and you can leave us voice messages, as you already heard midway through this episode. If you haven't done that already, please do. It's a great time, especially since now your laundry has probably been folded and you've been just waiting for this episode to end so you can get on with your life.
Your cake's burning. Go.
Yeah. Feel free to leave us a review if you can. If you're listening on a platform that allows it to do that, that helps us just be able to get more people in on the podcast. And so, and as we talked about last time, we don't mind if you're, just
Leaving a review for reviews. It's 5 stars.
yeah, 5 stars.
That's fine.
No
worries.
Just don't even think about it. Just be brief. Be like,
It was good.
it was good. Yeah.
It was a podcast.
It was a podcast.
5 stars.
5 stars. 4 hosts, 4 microphones.
5 stars.
5 stars.